And start this trial, shall we? The last day of the trial to save Soseki's butt for the second time. The 23rd of February, 9:23 a.m., the Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Soseki is being a cat again.
This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo.
And he's just not gonna talk to us. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now. To the miserable curse that has been plaguing Mr. Natsume. To everyone.
And in my own small way, I shall do everything I can to help you.
I always appreciate your help, Mr. Sato. Suffering! Soseki! Selfishly! Sidelined! Well, you didn't say anything, sir! Good morning to you too, Mr. Natsume. Good morning! Good morning! Loco student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire! Listen to you two, chatting away happily as if the main player of today's trial isn't here! Why would you do that? Why? He screams so much more in this case.
Oh dear. We didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsume. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly, you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you.
I was waiting! What's the matter, Mr. Natsume? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally, that's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid. Somehow. You'll have to forgive me.
And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsume.
That was just an example! Oh, yes, there it is. Inner calm. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was so sure you abandoned me and returned to your beautiful long-lost homeland.
We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet.
Yes, well, anyway, I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. Man, Naruhodo has had one case after another, right? 3 in a row, literally back to back. I'm pretty sure he just took a long-ass nap for the next couple days after these cases. I've actually reached an important decision myself. Oh? What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. All right.
It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits.
It's a very clear message, I think, that he's overslept again. The great detective, my arch nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative, the trial is about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. Today, once again, we face the Reaper. And when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Soseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client, and keep fighting to the very end. That's all. You tell yourself that, Naruhodo. You tell yourself. 23rd of February, 9:40 a.m., the Old Bailey courtroom. Rubble, 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 rubble.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is ready.
Yes, the defense is ready.
Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed?
You just brought back the same people. We've already established this. Absolutely. Justice will be done. You mark my words.
I feel obliged to say, I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust my hat for me. And please, be as ruthless as you like. Juror 3, why? Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me. Especially gas thieves. I've no sympathy for the man at all.
Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems.
Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to the righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Van Zeeks, what can you tell us?
Mr. Vampire?
The prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea.
There was no poison. So he does have the results. Hold on, I need some wine. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock. That's a lot of black. We haven't started the Rants magazine yet. This is just the final trial for 2-2. Pray, allow me a moment to savor a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it.
Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Natsume brought with him that night.
Well, the brains at the yard analyzed it, and yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine or any other toxic substance in it. Aw, yeah.
No poison at all.
In other words, the tea that the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear.
Woo!
What a revelation! Rubble, 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 rubble.
As I suspected. This makes it quite clear. The defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume, is...
Oh, sir? My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again. A typical Nipponese reaction.
What?
Yes, it's true. No poison was found in the few drops of the liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. But what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty?
My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel.
Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shakespeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand. I don't really want Mr. Shakespeare back, but that's fine, I guess.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request.
Mr. Shakespeare.
Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend.
Bailiff, show Mr. Shakespeare to the stand.
Mr. William Shakespeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a bellyful of the foul fluid given, and in mine innocence.
Yes, but as was revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps first been led to believe.
By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile, and be a villain. Forsooth 'twas I, Shakespeare, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given. That's right. Fellow jurors, don't forget, this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all that about the ice coins a tidy secret, didn't you? You should have owned up sooner.
Arrest him, I say. Arrest him at once, and let him feel the sting in my tail.
Oh, indeed. By dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further my own needs, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths, and for cowards such as I, death be well deserved. But would it that a still greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me.
Objection!
But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Okay, but we've already proven he's not reliable, so is that not so, Mr. Shamspeare? Verily, my liege, I would so gladly speak.
Very well. Let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that the poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea.
The tea inconsistency. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, never did a drop of his own drink pass his lip. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my kinds of ice. That's a frickin' lie. Thus 'tis no surprise that poison might be not found in the tea I did pour in the molds of soap. He did drink his tea, you bastard! Yeah, right, it's a Shamspeare dance now. The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience.
Quite. Otherwise, it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance.
But no poison bottle was found at the scene. Because, quite simply, the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room. Did you find it in his room? The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. Ugh, I knew that. And now it should be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accuser's hands. Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamspeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare.
Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination.
Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
I understand that you are already acquainted with Mr. Natsume. Is that correct? Open Shamspeare. I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers. Do I know thee, or know thee not? Methinks 'tis all I can know, that thy destiny mingles with mine. You lost me at the first thee. Zounds, sir! Thou must learn the Lingish tongue afore thou turns thy hand to lawyering. Too much thoueth. I did, but I must have missed the archaic Elizabethan lecture. Oh, this is great. Verily, in truth, 'twas a fine flavored brew, though a drop of poison did bob its sweetness, as the thorn doth bob the sweet rose. That, dear friends, be the simple truth.
Listen to Mr. Shamspeare. He seems even better form than he was yesterday.
Either that, or I'm in worse form. That fated evening, after I did dine, and at Grubb's Grubbery, a local alehouse of good report, naught did pass my lips but the tainted black tea, But behold, the poison was not in the tea at first.
Hold it!
Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea, thou'st described the actions of a fool.
Quite so, quite so.
Are you saying you're not a fool, Shamspear? But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Sooner would I die quenched than parched. Would I have the choice? Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea, in sooth, I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right. No ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamspear, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him. With the greatest of pleasure, my liege.
Hold it!
But the teacup Mr. Natsumi drank from was found completely empty at the scene. And let's not forget the defendant's maxim, drink tea while it's hot. I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony did I writhe uncontrolled. In fits of pain I did knock the fellow's cup, and its contents split as blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly 'twas after I had made the coins of ice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim was slumped over. There is no contradiction here.
It's true. There was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. But still, something about this statement is troubling me.
Yes, of course. I know what it is. It's Mr. Natsumi's wise drink tea while it's hot maxim, isn't it?
No, I'm not sure that's it.
Thank you, witness. Now reiterate to the court what it is that occupied you after your guest had left and before you drank your tea.
When he departed... I didn't have to read that.
Hold it!
Yes, so that you could cheat the gas company. In fact, isn't that right? To cheat or to die? 'Tis life's only choice. Yes. Faith, to cheat be the wise choice, and mine occupation be not an ugly one. Pray thee, dost thou see beauty in the simplicity of the ruse?
No, I don't,
And be very sure, sir, once this trial is over, Ultimate Gas will take you to task over this legal task. I shall not run, I shall not hide. Sooth to say, I have nowhere to run nor to hide. But my lady, what wouldst thou with this pitiful player? I'll tell you what I'd like to do with you, starting with the shoddy shirt on your back. Oh dear. 'Tis time for a Shamspear dance! What? What a harsh world we live in. The thieving of the gas was addressed in yesterday's proceedings. The prosecution calls on the defense not to muddy the waters with irrelevancy.
Consider that a warning, counsel.
Yes, my lord. Why am I the one in trouble here? I'm just doing my job. Mr. Shamspear, after the accused returned to his own lodgings, you used his tea to make your coins. Is that correct? To cheat or to die? I did make my choice many moons ago.
Hold it!
If, having first made your special coins, it was after 2 in the morning when you collapsed, that would mean you can't have drunk any tea yourself until around that time. Once ensnared by literary debate, naught else be found in the furrows of the mind. The debate about Romeo and Juliet, you mean? And who was the stronger of the two? Rightfully did I pay no heed to the tea as I wrestled with the abominable fellow. I don't remember debates like that when I was studying.
Are you suggesting that none of you actually drank the tea while it was hot that evening?
My lord, wouldst thou be privy to some Shakespearean wisdom? Husband, wife, and tea ought a tepid be.
Ah, yes, so very true. Everyone has different preferences when it comes to tea.
I think you might have interpreted that wrongly. So it's been proven that there was no poison in Soseki-san's tea. That should be hugely in our favor. But the atmosphere in this courtroom today...
It feels as though everybody is against us, Mr. Naruhodo.
It must be the Reaper's poison.
I'm afraid that if we don't find a significant flaw in this testimony somewhere, the jury will pounce and find Mr. Natsume guilty.
It really feels like we jumped into the fire here. The fire was the last case, Naruhodo. So...
Objection!
Pretty sure you're wrong, sir. You claim that Mr. Natsume didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible. How? Chop logic? What is this, ye dark, ye clad fiend? The 2 teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them. One that represents incontrovertible proof.
Incontrovertible?
What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here. There's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough.
Indeed. Such stains occur all too readily when one leaves tea in the cup for a while.
And yet, Mr. Natsume's cup has no such ring.
Oh, good lord. You're right. It's completely clean.
And pray thee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsume told the court yesterday, the Japanese saying he quoted. Drink tea while it's hot! That's right, yes. The jittery Mr. Natsume was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. If, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well, after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspeare, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery! Well, that's quite a reaction.
Objection!
Oh, is that sip number 8 or something now? As a rule, I fill my hollowed chalice up to 7 times during any one trial. Boink. You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating, but irrelevant. Oh, no! Look at the sass! On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspeare. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coins of ice from the leftover tea in the accused cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Could it be that? Yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene. Oh, a fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Are you leading the witness, Baroque? Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, was empty. And thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot, as my liege did suggest.
Objection!
And you just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before? Are we supposed to believe that?
Objection!
Sir! People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us 2 things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only. And secondly, that the spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched the court.
The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts.
Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words... Oh, the cape's off! The inconsistencies claimed by the defense simply does not exist.
No!
What does this mean, then?
I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony.
Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery Alehouse that night, naught did pass my lips, but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back be stooped as low as death.
And on what did you dine, sir?
Why, I did partake of my favorites, a broth as would be called soup, and a leaf as would be called salad. As insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served. But you gods will save us, some faults to make us men. Willing would I suffer that punishment, what punishment 'tis seen fit, to serve a wicked thief of gas. But, I pray ye wise and noble fellows, never forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. What the hell, Shakespeare. Jurors all, your humble servant Shakespeare doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. My lord! If I may speak, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Foreman.
I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer.
By me?
I'm not leading the witness!
I do declare you may be right.
We all know the wife here. We all know the wife there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. But this lawyer lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path. That's what he's been doing. I really never said anything like that. But what we just heard from the victim here has opened our eyes again. We reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. That's highly doubtful.
The court acknowledged the position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury's findings.
What? No, you can't yet.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
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 I hereby declare the jury to be in one accord.
Oh, happy day. Oh, please. How is this happening? How indeed? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination.
Very well. The court opposed the defense's rights.
Typical. My learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. It's not obvious, sir.
This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find a defendant guilty of the crime of which he is charged.
Right? Just bring it back. The jurors' contentions. I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty.
I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying.
The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is.
Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes.
Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times.
If nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced decisions somewhat.
Yeah.
But never mind.
No, you really should mind.
The truth is, our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we hoped. And Mr. Shamspear was poisoned. There can be no doubt of that.
Then, how are we supposed to turn this around?
I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspear was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court, incontrovertibly.
But that's surely almost impossible at this stage.
If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsumi will
be found guilty.
No delays, counsel. Proceed with the summation examination.
Man, he continues to look great in that DLC outfit. I never want to take it off of him.
Hold it!
All the evidence, you say? That's right. And there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with the big mustache. Says the Englishman with the bigger mustache.
Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind.
If only we had that kind of evidence.
Don't worry, this summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps this will be a shift in the situation that shows an existing piece of evidence in a new light.
Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock.
Hold it!
This isn't the time or the place to be discussing the price of gas, madam. Even when he showers, no!
But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas, and air is free. Why should ultimate gas cost money?
Nice logic.
It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever.
This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either.
If I might interject here.
Yes, madam.
It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this man that the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt mustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas. Utterly unforgivable.
Soseki did neither of those. No, Mr. Natsumi is the one who's been stealing gas. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes.
Mr. Natsumi hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's as made up as the price of gas.
Holy crap. Hello, DG Shoes. I don't like this juror. Juror number 2 is just, so much. She's so much. Could we please talk about the poison rather than the gas, do you think, sir? Well, if you like. I mean, to be honest, I take poison over gas every time. You'd take poison? What I mean is, poison can only poison you. It doesn't explode, does it?
Goodness me, what are you talking about? Set him straight, please, lawyer man.
Well, it's certainly true that poison isn't prone to exploding. But I think you'll find poison also can't light or heat up a room. Oh, you're right. I hadn't considered that at all. You're welcome.
Young lawyer man.
Yes?
You have a good head on your shoulders. We could use someone like you as our company legal representative.
Whoa! Well, I wasn't expecting to pick up more business in the middle of a trial, that's for sure. Anyway, the point is, I haven't had the best experience with gas companies in the past.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas?
There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so.
She's really buzzing now.
All I've heard about our wonderful fuel is explosions and poisonings. What about electricity, huh? What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison.
Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madam. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable.
My point exactly. But the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know.
More devious? Who, madam?
Other gas companies, of course.
Other gas companies. Capitalism! Not quite what I was expecting.
We generate gas and we deliver it to our customers fair and square.
Indeed. Nobody is questioning that, madam. Altamont is an exemplary gas company.
But there are others, unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all.
What? But if they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people?
You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that.
They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible?
Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with the household supplied by those pipes and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft! When we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies have been up to its tricks.
Sir? I'm sorry, his face. Her? I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable.
It might seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening all the time, right here in the capital. It's very difficult selling something you can't see, you know. Very difficult indeed.
Thank you, that will do. Clearly, this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too much already.
I concur. Though if my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness. Ooh! Thank you so much.
You will turn your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, counsel.
Hold it!
You mean it's poisoned? That's right. It happened a tidy few times now.
This is most troubling indeed.
It's always days like this one when I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it. My wife. She gets that devilish look on her face and she slips some white powder into my cup. And you drink it anyway? I was brought up proper I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it.
And what happened to you? What did it taste like?
It was god-awful. Believe you me, salty as hell. Oh, she just put salt in it.
Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt.
No! So, she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, eh? Unbelievable.
Let's move on, please.
What in the world is going on with these jurors? Does that mean that if the victim could be shown to have ingested something else, you'd change your leaning?
Huh? Sorry, what's that now?
Oh, I was just saying, if the victim did actually eat or drink something else on that night.
What's the matter with you?
Sorry?
I said if nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all?
I feel there's an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here.
Compared to the other jurors who don't even appear to have anything to say about the case at all, it would seem that this elderly gentleman has been listening to the proceedings far more intently.
I suppose. The trouble is,
he has selective hearing.
Exactly. But still, this juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. Ugh, this is hopeless. There's no way for me to appeal to these people.
I do think that the only way we shall overcome this difficult situation is by exposing the way in which Mr. Shamspeare was really poisoned. We have to prove that it happened some other way and not via Mr. Natsume's tea.
Yes, I know. The trouble is, I have absolutely no idea how it did happen.
Mr. Naruhodo, I wonder if perhaps there's something you might have forgotten.
Oh? Like what?
It's important to watch everyone involved and pursue people if they react to something someone else says. If you'd like me to remind you exactly what I mean, I'd be more than happy to, of course.
Once again, Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands here. I probably owe it to my client to hear any advice my assistant may be able to offer. So perhaps I ought to let Susato-san remind me. Then oh no! Fuck! Sorry! It just suddenly popped up!
When a particular juror is talking, the other jurors will be listening, naturally. Most of the time when people are speaking themselves, they are careful not to give away more than they want to. But when they're listening to others speak, they tend to be less guarded.
Yes, that's very true. Well, I guess we're just gonna sit and listen to tutorial.
So if you see people reacting strangely in an unguarded moment, you must pursue them to find out why. Here, take a look at this, Mr. Naruhodo. When you press a juror about their assertions, a marker appears in the center of the screen. I'm gonna skip this. I'm so sorry, everyone.
We already know this stuff. I already know this stuff. We're gonna go to Mrs. Queen Bee.
Hold it!
Sorry, I just love his face.
Excuse me.
Yes, they too. Do you have something to say about that, juror number 3?
Oh, golly, you mean me?
I'm terribly sorry. I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying. Correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled about it recently, you see? Go on. An ultimate gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipework. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in. And do you know what he did? I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows. But it was very nearly the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, these unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to their pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously, there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment.
Oh, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe, the lights of adjacent property that has no contract with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes.
Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then... Wait, you mean... That's right, the lights didn't just flicker, they went out. Along with the stove, gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. Can we add this statement? So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, It's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Juror number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like. I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's secret method of identifying the rogues that... Like I said, madam, it's widely known already.
Very well. Juror number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly.
Yes, my lord. Although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. Gassy soap! Blow too hard into a gas pipe and you extinguish everything in the house. And then you're in real trouble.
Hold it!
When you say extinguish everything in the house, do you mean even on different floors? Oh yes, all floors are connected to the same pipe after all.
That's true of every building.
Because gas supply contracts are issued by whole properties. Well, I had no idea that it was possible to extinguish gas appliances simply by blowing down the pipe.
It's not something we like to publicize, to be honest,
but we have to carry out these investigations, as I'm sure you can appreciate.
Indeed, it has been mentioned on more than one occasion in the papers even.
Is that so? It's been mentioned to me too, very recently. An incident involving the gas stove going out inexplicably, almost leading to someone's death. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps... Yes, it's finally starting to fall into place. The secret link that joins all of these strange occurrences. Now, who do I present this to? I'm presenting this to somebody. Oh, here we go.
Objection!
Gotcha. Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel?
Juror number 6, did you hear what juror number 3 just said?
Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other.
Did you? There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsume's tea did, in a matter of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question.
What? What explanation?
I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene to see if there were any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time. But the mouth of a gas pipe. Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. Hold it! Hold it! What a piece of work is a man. What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare? What speakest thou? Pray thee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I'd been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp to your room, in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good lord! Are they tasty then? Gas pipes. Is that what he's saying? No, we're not gonna have the same cast.
And is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry, he tried to fill his belly with gas?
Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him, For shame, madam, speaking thy fancy. I assure you, I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes.
Objection!
This is no summation examination. This is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to have placed his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There is no possible proof that the man did as you say.
Objection!
It's true, I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspear has been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it.
Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself.
So would I. Let's see this evidence then. Now that I've got the jury's ear, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and time again, Mr. Shamspear stood in front of this gas lamp. Is the courtroom going to accept this?
Take that!
What the? These are... Wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints. They were found at the scene.
Skin prints, Counsel. I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however.
My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It reveals all of the places that Mr. Shamspear touched in his room.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Bark, bark goes my dog.
Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure.
I agree. This month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating. We found skin prints in many places that you would expect. On the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspear also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here.
Around the hanging picture there. Oh, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible.
Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork perhaps? At first, my colleagues and I thought the same. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are, and you would find yourself directly in front of... Oh! I don't believe it! The gas lamp! Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspear has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp.
Right. What have you been up to, you nut? You nut.
I'd ask the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me? What did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now, if you recall juror 3's statement... What? Me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights and the gas stove to go out, and gas to start leaking into the rooms. Obviously, that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is, if Mr. Shamspear were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposely caused the gas to...
Objection!
Oh dear. Sir! Sir! We got a good lead here, please! Please!
Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during the summation examination, I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law.
What is the meaning of this, Lord Van Zeeks?
This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense, the so-called skin prints. Clearly, that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case.
But it's an exciting new forensic technique, developed by a great detective.
It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands.
Certainly, even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as a formal evidence.
But...
Susato!
Please, my lord, if I may.
Miss Susato?
It was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the result of the great detective's investigation of the scene, as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury.
Oh! Look at that loop! Look at that loophole!
And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind these mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree.
Susato is my queen. Hold it! You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Juror number 3.
Oh yes, I do declare the Great Detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating. And I want to hear what the shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints.
What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy.
Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise.
No, wait! You heard his lordship! That's no dinkin'...
Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo.
I think you did most of the work there, Susato.
If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsume's trial will have to continue.
Thank you, Miss Susato. But I couldn't have done it without you.
Oh no, it was you who identified the clue after all. This is very much your success.
Take a compliment, Susato! Oh, he's sweating. He's sweating. Why, Mr. Shamspear? You seem to be losing your composure.
Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it!
Very well. Continue, counsel.
I'm very interested in the results of this great detective's investigation at the scene.
We're the ones who decide if the evidence is worthy of consideration or not. Us, the jury.
I don't believe in breaking promises. We can't come to a decision while so much is up in the air.
What the heck am I doing now? I'm gonna hear if I got a hint here. Who am I pressing? Yeah, I can't press these guys anymore. These are not pressable anymore, so I can only press...
Hold it!
Let me see. Who am I looking for now? He's not gonna interrupt me, so what's gonna happen now? I think I'm pitting him and him?
Hold it!
Oh, your so-called skin prints.
It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself.
The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shamspear had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides... Yes? Even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, it doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does it? Oh. If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance.
Ah, you do make a very valid point, sir.
What? That's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. Oh, no! No, wait! Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please.
Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurists that changed their minds before may very well change them back.
What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shamspear really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? I don't know, sir. What am I presenting? I don't have Garrett's testimony, though. None of the death of the murder but of natural causes. Early hours this morning had been suffering a fever and that doesn't talk about the treasure. Yeah, I don't have it, though. I can present evidence. I have supporting testimony. Okay, let's see. No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory. However, there is witness testimony that substantiates it. What's that? Testimony? Let's roll with the Garrett theory. This is incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. The person whose testimony revealed details about the gas in the Garrett's residence that night. Namely, wait, would it be Soseki or... Oh, no, it would be Garrett.
Take that!
Yes? No, the music didn't stop. Well, Mr. Foreman, does that convince you? It's not Garrett. Oh, I don't think he was listening.
Rest assured, Counsel, I shan't let such nonsensical answers go without penalty.
Ugh, I thought I got away with it. I thought so too. Is it Soseki then?
A witness who spoke about the gas on the night in question. Yes, there was someone.
That's what I thought too. But I honestly chose the wrong person. Sorry! Naruto!
Hold it!
Poor nuts!
Take that!
Okay. Obviously, I'm talking about the defendant. Mr. Soseki Natsumi himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsumi said the following. My lodgings! There's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings! Even on that fateful night it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shamspear's room, I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed. But before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me! On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not?
Oh, good golly.
So that Shamspear fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose. Now hold your horses there. What would he do that for? Yeah, you better be sweating.
Mr. Foreman,
What is it, man?
we cannot allow judgment to be passed while this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet. However, you must surely agree there is more to this case than meets the eye.
Ah! Victorian Transformers.
Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic, first and foremost.
There we go. Thank you, Mr. Fairplay.
The 4 jurors leaning towards not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue.
Rubber. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with the majority of jurors altering their decisions. Now, 2 jury members now called guilty, 4 now called not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Rubble. Mr. William Shakespeare.
My lord, how can thy humble Shakespeare serve thee?
What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination?
You know, this would all be solved if Baroque just told one of his damned police officers, get Gregson down to the crime scene and just examine the mouthpiece of the gas lamp to see if there's poison there. This would have saved us several steps.
So God mend me, I do so solemnly swear. I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe.
But your handprints have made a tidy mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? I am so mad I'm throwing this bottle. I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Ooh, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hand against the wall remains, at this time, unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Objection!
But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the lamp in Mr. Shakespeare's room to be examined.
Please! Please!
If there are traces of poison there.
Objection!
What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind. You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it should be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible.
Oh, really?
I didn't think of that. I didn't either! Is that really true?
In any case, counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into a gas pipework where he lived?
I got something! There's only one possibility that I can think of. And that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Okay, Baroque, you got a point. I didn't know. Sorry, sir.
Order! Counsel! Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end?
The answer couldn't be simpler. Now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Shakespeare wanted to end the life of...
Take that!
Poor old Soseki. If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live round those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'll freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garrett, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shakespeare was trying to end. And give me a moment, I'm gonna get a drink of water.
Outrageous!
I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsumi isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder.
Oh, good gracious!
Objection!
Why are we hunting Baroque's leg? What do I do when I get to Oh, I guess... Does he have another leg animation in this part of the case? I don't know. The accused is actually the aggrieved. Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remains unchanged. Namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let us indulge your fancies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill.
Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison?
So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamspeare's murderous designs?
You mean to suggest...
Naturally, the sole possible answer to that question could be more obvious. Wow, Romeo and Juliet seems almost extremely fitting, because I know it's not Natsumi's fault for it, but the fact that Baroque is accusing him for poisoning Shamspeare, while Shamspeare is also trying to kill, Soseki, is just this really funny death cycle. Only the man whose life has been threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe, what was a clear retaliatory attack. Retaliation? I don't know why I can't say retaliatory, but I can say retaliation. Can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Whatever Mr. William Shakespeare may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potential lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsume. The defense's counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused. Far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Rubble, 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 rubble. Whisper, 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 whisper. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly?
Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage.
What advantage?
Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspeare's room. So we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsume of guilt.
You mean, name the true culprit?
I know it might sound impossible, but we failed to do that. I have no doubt that Mr. Natsume's fate will be sealed once and for all.
As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. What? Oh, don't worry. The defense is not done talking. It was the Phantom. There's one other person who I believe could have been involved in all of this. The true culprit of this crime.
The true culprit.
A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate great detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime? Olive Green.
Take that!
The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspear is, I believe, Miss Olive Green.
Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Counsel, but I don't recall where.
Miss Olive Green. The woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of the stabbing on Briar Road. Yeah, because Susanoo was trained to be an actual legal assistant. Like, she does have her quirks, but she's nothing like Maya. An incident in which Mr. Natsume was arrested, I hastened to add.
Oh, of course, yes. Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago.
And I hardly need remind the court that Mr. Shamspear's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True. On the night that incident occurred, Miss Green was in the hospital, unconscious. So, on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible. But still. Oh my god, you're right. He is Maya. He's the Maya of this thing. He just needs to be kidnapped. No, he's only been accused. He needs to be kidnapped, then he will be truly Maya. My colleagues and I visited Miss Green in hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison.
Good gracious, she had poison.
And there is another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court.
Tell me, Mr. Shamspear.
My lord, pray, what be thy bidding?
Are you acquainted with Miss Green?
No, never heard of her. That's a big fat lie. We saw you hanging out with Miss Green. Judging by the look of Mr. Shamspear's face, I think perhaps he generally doesn't know her. At least, not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty Prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. Thanks! I mean, you're kind of being an ass still, but thanks! The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Wait, is there to be continued?
Or yes, Miss Olive Green.
Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Susanoo gets starry-eyed to Sherlock Holmes, as Maya is starry-eyed to the Steel Samurai.
Very well, I grant the request.
Excellent. I hope.
The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say. But at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsels. We reconvene in 1 hour. Court is adjourned.
Is there to be continued? Huh. Alright then. I thought this was not going to have a to be continued. I thought we were going to go straight to the end. Well then, alright then. I'm just going to take a quick break. I'm going to go grab a drink.